Hello everyone, my name is Hyunjoo Ahn. I'm a lawyer admitted to practice law in Korea and in Connecticut, US. I thought about recording this kind of video for a long time because I have a lot of foreign clients here in Korea. So today I'm just gonna try. I hope you like this video. To briefly introduce myself, I went to law school in Korea. Not law school, but more like undergraduate, majoring law. Passed the bar exam in Korea and then practiced here for a few years. Moved to the US, went to law school there again, went to NYU and UConn for my LLM and JD, and came back to Korea 3 years ago. So now I'm in Gwangju, and I work with foreign clients here in Gwangju and people who live outside of my town. So I'm very familiar with working remotely with foreign clients. I think I'm kind of ideal person to help foreign expats because I lived as expats or more like an immigrant in the US myself. And here I meet a lot of foreign people who have some legal issues. So my background as a lawyer here in Korea and in the US, learned and studied all those legal stuffs in Korean and in English. So I think I'm a kind of good candidate, a lawyer for you guys to explain all complex Korean legal system to you in the terms that you are familiar with in English. So today I'm going to talk about how to get divorced in Korea, which is the topic that I'm asked frequently. So let's say that you are a foreigner married to Korean and you have one child and have some property under your name or her name or have some joint accounts and you want a divorce now. So what would be the first question that you should ask yourself? I think first question that you should ask yourself is why I want a divorce. Okay, so you may think why I want a divorce very seriously, and then if you want a divorce, the second thing that you should think about is whether your partner will agree on it. If your partner or spouse agree on the divorce, then it might be easy because you guys can submit the proper paperwork to the court and then you guys can get divorced in a few months. So it's relatively easy compared to the divorce through the court. So let's say that your spouse doesn't want to get divorced and you are the only one who wants divorce, then things can get complicated. Then your only option will be that you file a lawsuit against your spouse in the family court, which has the jurisdiction over your residence. You might think about separation before filing a lawsuit for divorce. In Korea, separation does not bring any legal effect in terms of termination of marriage. So you can live separately with your spouse for a long time, for years, but it won't help you to terminate the marriage that you are in. First things, if you decide that you want to file a lawsuit against your spouse, you should check whether you are at fault spouse, which means that you did something wrong to your spouse, such as like you cheated on your spouse or you abused your spouse and then you want the divorce. In those cases, at-fault spouse cannot be granted divorce here in Korea. Only the other side can file a divorce. So you are not at fault and your spouse is at fault, you can file a lawsuit against your spouse. Second thing is that you should check the legal grounds for judicial divorce, which means more like contested divorce. In Korean civil law, there is very limited grounds, legal grounds that allow you to file a divorce lawsuit against your spouse. For example, like a verbal, physical, emotional abuse by a spouse, or maltreatment by spouse or by in-laws, serious conflicts or infidelity of the other party, things like that. So you should check those the list of the legal grounds by yourself or with a lawyer to see whether you are eligible to file a lawsuit against your spouse. So now you have some legal grounds, then you can file a lawsuit. But to win a lawsuit, you should have evidence. So the issue is how to collect the evidence. Let's say that your spouse cheated on you. Then you may think of taking a photo of them or getting some receipts where like your spouse spent some money on the hotel, or get some screenshots of KakaoTalk message or text messages. But if your husband's or wife's phone is locked and you unlock it and get those information, then you'll be in trouble. So please don't do that. So before you collect evidence, I advise you to consult with a lawyer to know how to get the evidence properly without breaking any law. But basically, you can record you can voice record your conversation with your spouse who is admitting that he did some adultery. That's fine. But if you're trying to do other stuff, I advise you to consult with a lawyer before you try. Some people ask me whether they can go to see a psychologist or have some medication because of stress or anxiety, and ask whether that would affect their chance of winning the child custody. My answer would be it depends. It depends. But if you can say that those anxiety or stress is caused by your spouse and I had suffered, it can be a good evidence to show that you suffered a lot and there is good ground to terminate this marriage. So it won't not always affect your chance of winning the child custody. To get the child custody, it's more about who was the primary caregiver of the child, who spent more time with him or her, and who is the suitable person to raise the child. You don't have to be the main primary bread maker. Yes, because anyway, the other parents have to pay the child custody. So even though you don't make that much money, it's not that big issue if the child is young. What are the other issues? Yes, so in terms of property division, you may your spouse may have a house under his name and you don't have anything under your name because you're a foreigner here. Then you might be worried, what if he sells the house, or what if he spends all the money in the bank account? So to prevent those, usually the person who is filing a lawsuit also requests a preliminary injunction to freeze the property or freeze the bank account. So it's a bit of kind of related but a separate separate legal process, but there is ways to secure the property before it's divided. And because our case was more about infidelity, in those cases, a spouse can also file a lawsuit against the third party who was involved in the adultery or the damage that she or he caused to your marriage. So, in sum, if you file a divorce, you can get the divorce decision granted. If you have a child, you may seek child custody and win the child custody and also get the monetary compensation or monthly child custody from your spouse. And also if you had some property, even though it was under your spouse's name, since both of you have contributed in building that marital property, you also can claim the share of the property regardless of the title of the property. So you can get some divided property And if you suffered from the abuse or the maltreatment by your spouse or your in-laws, then you can get damage compensation for their behaviors. And if there is any third party involved, such as a third party who was involved in adultery, you can file a kind of, you can also file a lawsuit within that same lawsuit against the third party and get the damage from her. Then you might think, oh, I don't know what property we have. I don't know the bank account names. I don't know the lady's name or the lady's address who is having an affair with my husband. Or those are the common questions that I get. I'll try to address those later if any of you are interested in. So I think this is it for my first video. I hope it helps, and I wish you a happy life. Thank you.